how appropriate on Mother's Day for the gospel and the readings to be focused on love. Yet I'm not going to take that direction. Mothers, we love you, and your children love you, I hope, and I hope you love them continuously. And happy Mother's Day. Celebrate the rest of the day alone, with family, with friends, but enjoy yourselves. God has provided beautiful weather, a little on the chilly side, but it's still beautiful. And we're here to celebrate the whole faith, and mothers are part of that faith. And we honor Mary, our mother, by putting the icon of Mary in the sanctuary and wearing Mary's vestments. Again, to remind us she's mother of the church, she's our mother, and those of you who are mothers, happy day. When I prepared these readings, I thought of something very different than the direct message that it comes from. John telling us, you want to know what God's all about? Love. You want to relate to each other? Love. He's only recalling what Jesus said in this gospel, and this gospel comes from the Last Supper, when Jesus gave that long dissertation and many chapters in John about how to be one with God. John doesn't talk about the Last Supper and the breaking of the bread and the Eucharist. He talks about love. It's funny because he takes the Eucharist and puts it into action, how to live the Eucharist outside. But that's my interpretation of John's theology. He does include at the Last Supper the washing of the feet, again, action, putting things into action. And when I thought of the readings today, and I thought, you know what? I worked over 30 years on a college campus. And we had a chapel that every Sunday morning and night was filled, mostly with kids, mostly with college kids. Those kids are now in the millennial stage. And I thought, I miss them. Not those students from William Patterson University only, not those from campus ministry. I miss the millennials. There are some here, and I thank you for being here. But the millennials are missing from our church. I reflected on this with Father Baker last week, and I pray that the pandemic has held us away, whether we're elderly, young, millennials, but it's only a passing phase. And the church needs to open the doors once again to our millennial brothers and sisters. The kids, you might say. The kids who are on the upswing in so many ways with technology, on the upswing in so many ways with social movements and awareness of the rights of people, whether they are protesting or writing or blogging or Twittering or all those things that they are very familiar with. And our word, through the message of Friends of the Word, goes out to millennials, but also to every other person who listens. And the word that needs to go out to our sisters and brothers who are missing from us, they should be here, filling in the spaces, are the millennials, and the word is love. My niece and nephew are millennials, and they're part of that whole movement. They're part of the movement that is suffering for the rights of people. And yeah, there's a little hypocrisy in all the millennials as well as the rest of us. We say one thing and we do another. Then the millennials don't have a corner on that. We all do. So I'm not focusing on the mistakes that we might be making to not open our doors wide enough for the millennials, those young people who are really, in a way, searching. And the search, see, when we love, no matter what we love and who we love, it's a reflection of our relationship with God. Now, if we love our children, it's a reflection of God's ability within us to love the children. And if we happen to, quote, love things, whether it's technology or internet or anything that we get hooked into, we don't really love it. The desire to appreciate it and be one with it and utilize it comes from God. Because all of our love ability is stemming from God. So if we have the ability to love one neighbor, the best friend, the girlfriend, husband, doesn't matter, or our parents, all of that comes from God. And there's a little disconnect in this generation. And I'm not limiting my thoughts to the millennials, of course. And the disconnect is we can love, but only older Catholics who go to church with children. They're the only ones who can love. Or those who are more traditional. They know what church is all about. They can love. No, I'm sorry. Every person walking, every human being has the ability and the need within him or her to love and express that love and receive it back. And it's not unique to the millennials. But the problem is, I bite my tongue as I say this, but I have to say it, I wonder if the church has not gotten in between love and that generation. And it doesn't end with any numbers, the millennials. Go beyond that, before them and after them, those years. I wonder if the church, us, has gotten in the way of allowing those people that we refer to now as millennials to really express their love in the church. Have we gotten in the way by just ritual and stuff that we do, and nobody appreciates, I shouldn't say nobody, but I greatly appreciate ritual, as you know, here in Mass. And yet there's an informality to how we practice the ritual. An appreciation that this ritual is focused on Jesus Christ, not me or you or anybody, person. And have we stood in the way? Have we become self-righteous in certain categories? And I don't have to name the categories of rights, people's rights, women's rights, men's rights. Have we gotten in the way and not opened the door wide enough to realize that when they, last year, many different ages, but the generic they, protested on our streets, was the church there? Were you there? Now, protest is different from rioting. Push rioting right aside. We're not talking about that at all. But they protested, all those people in the streets, and you could recall the signs. I'm not going to have to read them for you or remember them out loud. You remember the signs. You remember what they were saying. And some of them were offensive to us as Catholics. It's all right. We're not in agreement with everybody, but everybody is invited to the church. Everybody is invited to our family. Everyone is invited to the table, because the invitation doesn't come from me, you, the Pope, Father Baker. The invitation comes from God himself. Jesus himself says, love one another. That's the invitation. So if we leave here regrettably self-righteous, and we don't welcome those pain-in-the-neck kids, and I'll call them that, because I love them. Whether they have the tattoos and the earrings and the nose things, that's not you, it's not me, but it's them. And there's a search. When you see people who have done things to their bodies, there's a search going on there, a search for meaning. Ultimately, our hearts rest in God, so it's a search for a greater relationship with God. But they have to have a comfort level with themselves as they process that, as they search through that. So it comes out as weird things. I remember my niece, God, I'm not going to give her age, but when she was a teenager, had purple hair one week and shaved on one side of the head one week. And this is generation before the millennial word came up. We loved her. We kept her with us. We didn't make a big deal of it. We didn't criticize it. We joked about it, but that was her. My first weekend here in New York City, helping with St. John, at St. John Nepomucene, a young lady came up, and you got to realize, I do have the experience of being on campus, so I know what attitude is all about. and I've told you this before, when I first went to campus, there were two reactions the students would have as I walked on campus with a collar, okay? And one of the reactions would be, oh, hey, Father, how are you? Where are you from, you know? Nice. A lot of Catholics, North Jersey. And the other reaction would be this. As I'm walking down the street, they would go like this. They wouldn't see me. They would be the ones that I would sort of tap on the shoulder and say, excuse me, could you tell me where Robert's building is? Can you tell me how to get to? And engage. And yes, sometimes they were the ones with the things that aesthetically might be offensive to the average person. The plugs, the ears, the colors, the faces, the things on their body. I don't care. The first Sunday, as I was mentioning before, that I came to Mass here at St. John's at the main church, a young lady, came to church, and I felt like I was back at the campus. She had the plugs in her nose, and she had the purple hair, and a big tattoo, and her, sleeve was rolled up, and she almost came in like with an attitude, like, dare say something. Well, I mean, you see, 1,000 years ago, I was that kid. I had an attitude, so I know what attitude is all about. So she comes up, and she looks at me, and I look at her as I'm going to the entrance of the church, and she had that attitude. I went right over to her. I said, oh my God, I love those earrings. How many are there? Wow, where'd you get this tattoo? What does this mean, this tattoo? I didn't care about the meaning of the tattoo. I didn't care the number of earrings. I cared about the person wearing the tattoo and wearing those earrings. She was a person. She was a kid. She was struggling. She was getting to define herself. And you've all been there. You've all been there. If you didn't go through that phase of self-discovery and discovery of who you are, what gender you are, what ethnicity you are, how you fit into society, if you didn't go through that, you're probably a robot. Because as human beings, we all go through that. Oh, let me make it clear. So did Jesus. When he was left back in the temple because the family went without him, they thought he was part of the group, he had a wise comment. I was going to say something else, but I can't say that in church. He had a wise comment for his mother. Jesus, we're looking for you. And he had attitude. We're looking for you all over. Hey, didn't you know I would be with my father? What the hell are you talking about, boy? Be with your father? The temple. I was with my father. You see, there's the surface and there's the deeper person that we all have. And we can't judge on the surface. Jesus told us, John repeats it. Love one another. Okay, apply it. Respect, courteous, civility. The list goes on, but love is there. Love is the root. And Jesus even says, hey, listen, guys, I really love you. I want you to get that in your heads. I really love you. As a matter of fact, I love you just like the Father loves me, and that's big business because God is my Father. I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly what he said. So I want you to love each other and love me as the Father loves me. And that means, well, I would lay down my life for you. Wow. Really? Of course, you see Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, you don't think of that. You see the beautiful fresco on the convent walls of Santa Maria della Grazia in Milan. Oh, Jesus was so calm, and the apostles were, they all appropriately facing Jesus. No one had anything odd about him. I'm sorry, that's not the picture. That's Leonardo. God bless him, he's a great artist, the greatest artist. But that was Leonardo. That was the Renaissance. That wasn't Jesus. That was his interpretation of Jesus. Today's interpretation of Jesus might be those kids we're talking about on the street. Today's interpretation of what Jesus could look like might be those millennials with the earplugs and the tattoos. That might be Jesus. And how dare we not love Jesus in one another? It's his own words. It's his command. It didn't say, it's a menu. Pick one from column 1, 2 from column B. No. I give you this command. Love one another. and speak to the Father, because whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will do for you. And it doesn't say only Catholics, only you can ask God whatever you want. Protestants, well, you got a second best. Jews, oh, forget it. Muslims, oh, don't even go near the Father. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say wise guys don't show up. No, all of you, love one another. Oh yes, it's Mother's Day, but the preeminent message of the day is the message of the gospel in John's letter to us and our sisters and brothers who are the millennials out there. And you know what? I know what attitude is. When I had attitude, like I don't have now, I hope I don't have it now, but I think I do anyway. But when I really had it as a young kid, 20s, 1920s, all those years, when I had attitude, if a person dared to be nice to me, I couldn't stand it. I did need it, and I wanted it. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm not the only one here. I needed it, I wanted the attention, but I was too proud and too confused and too caught up with my own search to accept it. And that's another good reason to have this homily today, because it's Mother's Day. Mothers see right through it. My grandmother was the best. I could do no wrong. I think she wrote the gospel according to Rosalia, and Jesus was born in Louis SCURTI in Jersey City, not Jerusalem. But that was my grandmother's take on it. She always accepted me. She was with me through all the phases. A mother's love does that. I'm not a mother, I don't know, but mother's love does that. And my own mother, and my sister-in-law, and the mothers of my family, they're strong women who call the shots, who accept their children, and stay with them as those children become millennials and those millennials become adults. Millennials, we need you. We want you home. This is where you belong. In the churches throughout the world that are Catholic, that are open to you. And with us and Jesus, we invite you. And all of us here have to be the inviters. All of us here, through our attitude, our words, our judgment, have to be the inviters around the Father's table. And we need to do that. As a matter of fact, we must do that. As a matter of fact, we've been commanded to do that by Jesus himself. Whatever the Father gives me, I will give you. Whoever loves me will keep my word, and the Father will love you. So my command is this. Love one another. Love one another. Love one another.